Holy cow, we're back. Okay, so this, in my opinion, stay with me real quick, it's going to be an unpopular opinion, might be the second most important episode of the season so far. Not best. Don't get me wrong. Don't in the comments be like, dude, how is this the best episode? It's not. As of last week's episode, this is the second most important, in my opinion, due to the fact that this is going to tell the rest of the season how retention is going to be for the show. Can Ellie alone hold up the show after everything that happened with Joel? That's why I'm saying this may be one of the second most important episodes of the season so far, if not the rest of the show, in my opinion. Because we all love Joe. Pedro Pascal kills it in everything he's in, pretty much. He's on his A game right now. He's literally everywhere. And The Last of Us is no different, right? But with him gone in last week's episode, everything that happened, this is going to tell the viewers if they're going to be interested in hearing Ellie's revenge story or not. We got a lot to break down for this week's episode. By the way, thank you so much for all the support on last week's episode. 150 views is pretty huge for a small channel like mine, especially for long-form content. So again, let me know in the comments your thoughts on this episode. By the way, let me know if you played the game or didn't play the game. That way I can differentiate between who you guys are. Let's break this episode down. Pretty much starts off everybody's mourning, right? Jackson is in shambles from the onslaught of hordes of zombies that were coming in, the bloaters. We've got buildings still on fire. Everything's being put out, and the town is trying to recuperate and be back to what it once was, right? This one kind of symbol of hope in this infected world, and Jackson is trying to be back to what that is. And some of the people there are starting to lose hope. And you could see that, but they don't want to show it, right? They show people out in the fields kind of tilling. They show people, with the hammers. They're trying to build the wall back, right? It just got broke down. Buildings that were on fire. They've got people with tape measures. They've got everything going out as they're trying to fix it. And the town is trying to put itself back together as it should. And this will come into problems as, are we lacking supplies? Do we need this here? We can't afford to waste any supplies because we have to build this place back up in case more raiders and more people come and attack. And we'll see that problem later on, which is one of the things I like in The Last of Us is there is a problem with supplies in this show, right? You have to be smart what you use. If you played the game, when you're making a Molotov cocktail or a med kit, it would take the same supplies, and you got to make a choice there which one you want to make. Do you want to go on the offense, or do you want some type of med supplies for defense? And you can see that kind of correlate in this show. Right, it pretty much starts off this week's episode. Tommy is mourning his brother's loss. Joel, right, he's cleaning the body up, and we see kind of a morgue of just everyone else that died last week's episode as the town was invaded. And everyone in the town is mourning their significant others, their loved ones, their husbands, their wives, their girlfriends, their side pieces, whatever it is. And Ellie's still recovering in the hospital, right? There's a bunch of people in there. She's having flashbacks. She's having nightmares of the scene with Joel and everything like that. She's trying to recover on her own, and she's pretty much lying at this point, right? She's like, anything to get me out of the hospital because my mind is just on straight up revenge. Straight up go, let me know where Abby is, and I'm going to take her out. Like, there's nothing standing between Ellie and Abby. And here's one of the problems, right? Okay, I have a hard time believing Bella Ramsey as Ellie being this fierce ninja go-getter assassin that is going to hunt all the way down to Seattle, right? And go past everything to try and find Abby and her group of people. I am sorry. I am just having a hard time believing that she is. I have more confidence in Dana, however you pronounce her name, being able to do this stuff as opposed to Ellie. And I'll explain later on, but let me know your initial thoughts on that in the comments. I feel like Ellie in the game was significantly more believable for doing this stuff than Bella Ramsey's version of Ellie. And I'm not throwing any hate. I'm gonna give you guys an honest review on what I think of the take. But she does have good acting parts. It's not all bad. It's just the way they did her character this season, I just can't really buy it. But she gets free from the hospital, right? And her initial thought is she's just going back, and she goes back to her place with Joel. All of his clothes are still there. She opens a box in the bed. There's his classic revolver, right? She's kind of messing around with it. His watch is there as well. And she's just overwhelmed with emotions. Tears start flowing down her eyes. She's crying to one of his jackets. She knows for the past 3 months he's been gone, but every little thing is reminding her of him. And this was a great acting scene by Bella. So I know she can do it. But then out of nowhere, she hears a knock on the door, right? Right, and who is it? It's Dinah. She's been there pretty much the whole time. She's checking on Ellie in the hospital, right? She's making sure she's okay. She wants to make sure everything's going well, and she knows Ellie is hot-headed and will make decisions like that. So she comes in, brings her cookie. She's like, hey, These are, you're going to hate me, right? Because when you asked me if I knew anything about these people, I lied. I did know a lot. In fact, I know all their names, and I know where they're going, and I know what routes they are taking. So they kind of talked this out, and they're ready to get their plan going, right? But they can't just go by themselves. They want to put a team together. So they go over to Tommy. They talk to him. Tommy's like, okay, I am with you, but we have to do this legit. We have to go to the council. We have to go to the town, and they will make a decision right there. You can plead your case and try and win them over, but whatever the decision is, that's what it's going to be. She says, okay, you know what? I'll do that. So they go their separate ways. Ellie's kind of training a little bit, right? She's throwing some jabs. She's throwing some punches over there with Jesse. She's just getting back into things after getting out of the hospital. And Jesse's now on the council. So he's moved up in the past 3 months while the town's being rebuilt and everything. He is now on the council. And then Ellie is kind of like, hey, can I count on your vote to allow us to go after the people that killed Joel? And he kind of hints at her. He's like, look, I can't confirm nor deny. I can't discuss ratings with people like you, right? I'm on the council. I can't discuss what my opinion is going to be, but he's on her side, right? You kind of get that vibe. You feel that from him. So she's kind of relieved, but also kind of mad. Then the next day happens, right? They have the town meeting. There's so much to discuss. What crops do we plant? What do we do here? How can we move forward as a town? And then Ellie gets up and they're like, I want to put together a team. I want to get revenge. No, not revenge. I want to get justice for Joel and everything that happened to him. The town pleads their case. No one's really on her side, right? Except for the one guy, the one that gave her steak sandwiches last week, got shoved by Joel in episode 1. He is now on her side, just showing you that the point, he can believe something completely different, but he wants his people and he wants them first. And at the end of the day, Ellie is part of his tribe, his community, his family. So he wants revenge because he's like, look, if they can come in and just take one of ours and beat them over with a golf club, dude, they're going to come back and do it again and laugh in our face and do it again, and we're going to do nothing. So we need to do something this time. Town votes, right? I think it was 3 yeses out of everyone on the council. They're mad. They're heated, right? 3 yeses, that's not enough for them to allow to be a go. So you know what? Ellie just goes home. She goes to bed. She doesn't care about it. Wrong. Ellie immediately just goes home. No dispute there at all. Doesn't make a scene. No big deal. Goes home, starts racking weapons. Right? You go in her bedroom. There's a rifle on the bed. There's kind of ammunition out. There's Joel's revolver. She's loading that up. She's like, I was going to go anyway, dog. I didn't need your approval. I was going to hit the road and go find her anyway. If you were going to come with me or not, it's getting done. I'm like, okay, let's get the ball moving here. Let's get it rolling. Then we hear another knock at the door. Who do you think it is, dude? Dinah. She's like, yo, open up the door, shorty. We made out. Let me in. I'm cool. Ellie's like, yo, I'm just going to bed. She's like, no, open the door. No, you're not going to bed, dog. Open the door. Opens the door. Dinah comes in. She just looks at all the weapons. She's like, home, do you know where you're going? You don't even know what route to take. What is your med supplies? What is your food supplies? What about tent supply? Like all this stuff. And Ellie's like, I'm just going to figure it out on the way. She's like, no. Dude, she whips it out, right? She whips out the map, pulls it out. We're taking this route, this, and this. I got an inside man. Meet me at the gate, 3 a.m. Boom, we're getting out of here. I got supplies, everything loaded. Dude, she does. Dinah, I like her character more than I like Ellie's character. Like, I don't know if it's the actresses. I don't know how they're portraying it. But I trust Dinah's character being more likely to go take on the Abby's crew than Ellie's. Ellie just doesn't seem planned in the situation. And I get it, that's part of her character. And I'm glad Dinah's there to kind of like even the situation out and stuff. But then we see at 3 a.m. they meet up at the gate. They're ready to go on their mission, right? But kind of before this, we see another group of people in the woods. We haven't seen them before, I believe, this season or last season. They're kind of dressed in like greenish, grayish kind of robes, right? There's a kid with them. They're talking about safety. And their way of freeing the apocalypse is through some type of religion, right? Not really Christianity, not really anything. They talk about some type of prophet. And that's who they look up to in this post-apocalyptic world. They communicate by whistles. Is actually pretty cool. But then they hear this whistle, right? So the guy turns around. He's leading the crew. He has a little daughter with him. And they hear there's like pretty much contact. Someone's behind. They go and hide. And we don't see them until later on in the show. When we find out, they're actually dead, including the daughter, all cooked. So that's just, it fuels the fire later on in the episode, but I wanted to bring that up because I don't want to forget that later. But so they're at the gate. They're about to leave on their mission. And then we get one of the best shots that we've seen as Ellie goes to the grave. By the way, if you pay attention, you'll see subtle things. How Ellie carries her gun now is similar to how Joel carried his gun. Ellie used to always be on the back of the horse, right, when she's with someone else. Now she is slowly in the front of the horse as she's kind of taking on that leadership role. Normally it's what Joel would do, but now she's doing it. So just pay attention for subtle things like that. But the scene with Ellie at the grave was just so nice, man. Just the way they shot it was good. It lingered just long enough to where you kind of feel the emotion still. You're like, man, we just went through like a season with this guy. Pedro Pascal killed it as Joel, and now he's gone. And Ellie, like, from this point on, Ellie, we're relying on you to pretty much bring the heat the rest of the show. Like you've got the weight of the show essentially on the back of your shoulders, Bella Ramsey. So this is where we're kind of like, all right, show us what you can do. They take off on this journey, right? They're just going through rocky terrain, kind of sandy terrain, grass terrain. They're trying to make their way to Seattle, right? Because that's where everything's going down. And they come across the path where those people that I talked about earlier with the prophet and the religion and everything, they find them dead, right? And they have no idea who did it. But in their mind, this is where they're like, if Abby's crew did this, they are probably worse than the infected out there. These are the worst kind of people to just come in there and just murder children and stuff like that. So they're full on out for revenge at this point. They pull up eventually to Seattle, right? Kind of get a glimpse of it. They can see the city in the background. And they're getting this idea of, it is surprisingly, it's quiet around here. There's no gunshots really. There's no infected, nothing loud moving or anything. So they're thinking, wow, maybe this will be easier than we thought, right? Maybe this won't be too bad and we'll get in and get out and get on our way. And that is not true at all. And let me know if you played the games in the comments, because I've heard things get crazy from here now. Like, I've heard there may be times where like Tommy goes ballistic, Ellie goes ballistic, and everyone just pops off. And if that's true, gang, I can't wait to see it, because next week's episode does look really good. This one is another slow burner story, and we need the story to build up and everything like that. Also, throughout this episode, we kind of see, Ellie and Dinah kind of has that rock, paper chemistry, a little chemistry like that, little girlfriend chemistry. It builds. There's a scene in the tent where they're talking. She's kind of like, how was the kiss New Year's Eve? Was it good? Was it bad? Ellie's like, I give it about a 6. They're going back and forth, kind of flirting, kind of not. Dinah's like, I really wasn't that high when you kissed me, just letting you know. And you can feel the tension, right? I love the chemistry between these two. I think it's really good chemistry between Dinah and between Ellie. I think they do a great job of it. But then once they get to the town, they think it's all going to be safe over in Seattle. Maybe this will be easy. And that's practically where this episode ends, right? And we get the final glimpse from the show is like an army, a militia kind of moving out of Seattle and making movements. And it's just looks like it's leading on to next week's episode being full-on chaos, full-on zombies, full-on militia, Abby and Dinah versus everyone going crazy in Seattle. So I am super excited for next week's episode. This week's episode, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Right? Last week's episode, I'd give like a 9 out of 10. It was full-on, action-packed, story-driven, emotion, characters top of the game. This one was slower. This one was more story and build-up. But we do need these episodes. I'm not saying we don't need these episodes. And I'm curious what retention is between episode 2 and let's say episode 4 next week, with people still watching, with Bella Ramsey carrying the show and Joel being gone. That's just my honest opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, let me know if you guys played the game or didn't play the game, and how this follows suit to the game, if you like it or not. Thank you guys so much for loving last week's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm keeping you guys up to date on all gaming and movie news. So if that's what you want, click the follow button, because I'm going to keep you guys up to date. I'll see you guys next week for next week's episode review.